Some of the popular rock bands of the 80s started to see slower sales by the beginning of the next decade, thanks to the rise of alternative music. Some bands kept their sound the same, while others changed their sound or appearance, while others took things to the extreme to get some attention. Today, we'll talk about one band who went so over the top, they not only lost their chance to open for Black Sabbath, but they also said goodbye to the recording contract. The Los Angeles band Love Hate would be fronted by singer Jizzy Pearl and was formed in the mid-80s and was also lumped probably unfairly with the hair metal and hard rock scene at the time. They would have some success with their first album 1990's Blackout in the Red Room, which charted in the upper echelons of the Billboard 200 and did fairly well across the pond in the UK. But by 1992 the music scene had drastically changed and groups like Love Hate were suddenly left looking tired and uncool. The group's sophomore record Wasted in America barely made a whimper stateside. With Pearl telling the YouTube channel Wasting Some Time with Jason Green, people were talking about Nirvana. It was a word of mouth thing. Have you heard about them? Have you heard them? And that's how it sort of started in the wind. Guns N' Roses were still huge, they were still the kings, but shit was changing, he'd recall. Pearl wanted to get on more people's radar, and he would look to an incident that happened in 1932 when Hollywood actress Peg Entwistle took her life by jumping off the H of the Hollywood sign. Pearl would recall in the same interview, "I was really going with the idea for a minute. That was the germ of the thing. Originally I thought, let's crucify ourselves on this sign as a sort of homage and a plea for the rock gods to take us out of this poverty. I would be on the freeway stuck in traffic and I would look up at that Hollywood sign, which is obviously iconic. There's something about it that draws people to Hollywood. It teases you and it taunts you." It would be the band's bassist Skid Rose who got into making movies around this time, and the group thought about filming the stunt. The band would build a 60-foot-tall cross in hopes of erecting it onto the Y letter of the Hollywood sign and filming a mock crucifixion with Pearl volunteering to do the stunt. It would be an evening in June of 1992 that saw Rose, Pearl, and their drummer Joey Gold move the cross in several sections up to the Hollywood sign, leaving it unassembled overnight. The following afternoon, they would assemble the cross against the Y, with Pearl recalling, "Singers kind of have to fall on their sword for rock. Skid couldn't do it because he had traffic warrants. I was going to get arrested. That was okay. And all of a sudden the chain ladder, which had been twisted a bunch of times, it unkinks itself, so I'm swinging in the air, screaming and swinging on the other side of the cross. I finally calmed down and stopped screaming. I'll find footing on the cross and I'm hanging on. Joey's running down the hill laughing. I'll never forget that effer. He's turning around looking at me laughing," he'd say. The band predicted it wouldn't take very long for the news media and the cops to notice what was going on the Hollywood sign, but hours would pass and no one seemed to care or notice. It wasn't until a helicopter from one of the local news affiliates spotted the crucifix that the band made the nightly news. The only problem was that the news media thought the man on the cross was trying to jump from the sign and take his own life. Not helping was that the park rangers, the firemen, and the police were yelling at Pearl to come down, but he claimed he couldn't because he was stuck. Here's the news coverage from that day.
We have a breaking news story now on the Hollywood sign, on the letter Y to be specific. A man has put the cross on that letter and put himself on the cross. Captain Ron, what else can you tell us?
Well, Paul, this is quite unusual out here. It's drawn quite a bit of attention from the other helicopters out here in the Los Angeles area. As you can see, he's right in the middle of the Y, and we've got a cross out here that's decorated with some flowers, and looks like some other type of multicolored material out here. Now he's standing on a platform wearing some leather boots, it appears like, and he's got his arms semi-extended on the arms of the cross itself. Now it looked like he'd have to have some help to get up here. We've looked around the area out here and couldn't find anyone else, and we're unsure how he got up there. That's pretty much the scene here at the Hollywood sign. Paul, back to you.
Can you tell if there's some sort of lettering around his waist? The ZZO I see on the right there, Ron. I don't know if you can make it out any better than we can. But
cameraman might be able to tell us what that says.
Well,
Jizzo? Rizzo?
It looks like that, just about what you can see, and that's about all I can make out from here, Ann.
Okay, our producer indicates that he thinks quite possibly it's some sort of protest against the meeting down in Rio, the environmental summit. We're going to follow the story, of course, and get back to it and see exactly why this man is up on the Hollywood sign.
At the top of the news, we went out in Newscopter 7 and showed you the man who was standing in the cross that had been put up over the Y in the Hollywood sign. You see him there. We understand now that this is a publicity stunt. We thought it might be a protest. No, it apparently is a lead singer for a rock group named Love Hate. Lead singer Jizzy Pearl is the man standing in that cross, and let's find out what...
Pearl will be taken into custody, and the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce would upgrade the security around the sign to ensure a similar stunt wouldn't repeat itself. As for the band, the stunt did little to help record sales, but did upset the record label to the point that they pulled them from opening for Black Sabbath and dropped the band later that year. Pearl would recall his arrest in the same interview, saying, "The cops made a big deal of cuffing me like I was a Night Stalker. They kept me in jail for hours and hours. I had to pay for a lawyer and do a few days of community service, painting graffiti over with winos and the Hollywood beautification team in yellow shirts." That does it for today's video, guys. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like button, subscribe, and we'll see you again. Rock and Roll Stories. Take care.